You are in Israel, and you have been to. There's been an air raid or
I'm
an
in the
alarm go
city
off,
of
and you've.
I am in the city of Jerusalem. I'm in Jerusalem, right next to the King David Hotel, in a slightly less salubrious hotel. And the King David Hotel, that was, gosh, back in the 50s or 40s, the subject of a huge terrorist attack. But that's where I am, Duncan, and I've come here as a guest of an Australian Jewish-Israeli group, and I've had a fascinating day. But I'm sitting down at dinner reflecting on that day, and there's an air raid siren, and we moved to the nearest air raid shelter because from Yemen, missiles from Yemen headed towards Jerusalem. Earlier in the day, we were out, actually I was up at the Temple Mount, and we get a notification that, oh gosh, there are rockets coming in from Gaza towards Tel Aviv, which is a little bit away from us. And I'm suddenly sitting here and thinking, this is a long way away from Manor Street and best water mains.
Yes, yes, yes. Although there have been a few low-flying rockets sent your way from different people in Wellington and so forth over the years. But did you go into the shelter? Did you?
I haven't noticed.
Yeah, I think you might have.
Look. Can I just tell you, we're literally sitting there deciding whether to have dessert or not, and suddenly everything in this restaurant changes, and it's a nice place. It's like any other Kiwi restaurant, and we all get up and they say there was an air raid warning, and we walked like to the building next door, and we all go down quite a deep stairwell, and it was basically a stairwell. It wasn't like a bomb shelter, and we are told to stay there until we get the all clear. And what had happened was two missiles had been fired from Yemen. And it's amazing. These people just get their cell phones out, Duncan, and they've obviously got apps that tell them what the incoming missiles are. And we sit there for 20 minutes, and they go, all clear, the Iron Dome has got them. And we went back up, and we had our port and our dessert. It was quite surreal.
The Iron Dome, how does that work?
Now, interesting, the Iron Dome, and literally I've been talking to people like 5 minutes before this happened. So the Iron Dome is this missile defense system that fires a whole lot of missiles at incoming missiles. But the Iron Dome, every time you hit a missile with the Iron Dome, it costs you about 25,000 US dollars. The Iron Dome doesn't shoot down every missile that is fired from outside Israel at Israel. They only shoot the ones that are going to land in populated areas.
Yep.
And they can track the trajectory of these things. But here's the more exciting and interesting thing. 1 week ago here in Israel, the Iron Laser came into operation. The Iron Laser is a laser defense system developed in association with the French missile agency Rafael, and the Iron Laser only costs you $500 every time you shoot down an incoming missile with a laser. There are three, and I literally today met people involved in the contract and how this works. That became operational last week, and what the Iron Laser represents is an incredible change in the economics of shooting down incoming missiles. And the missiles that apparently triggered the air raid warning that I was subject to tonight, they were coming out of Yemen, out of the Houthis. But apparently if they can get the Iron Laser in force, they don't need to be so reliant on the Americans sending them the hardware for the Iron Dome, for the old system.
Wow, it's really technical, isn't it? But it's safe.
Everyone in Israel is kind of interested in this. Can I tell you the other thing is it doesn't feel like a country at war. this isn't like the Blitz. Well, I wasn't alive during the Blitz in Britain, but I've only been on the ground here one day, Duncan. They're a pretty nice bunch of people, and they know they've got their issues, and they know the world's got an opinion about them. But it would seem to me it's a place you can go and get a beer and a falafel, and it's not too bad, you know.
And so, does it feel like the people are at war? I mean, other people, because this is very normal for them, right? And they're in a constant state of, you know, I've been aware that an attack could happen at any stage. So are they a happy people, or are they a wary people?
What I appreciate from literally just 24 hours on the ground here is we are so far away from most of the problems in the world.
Yes.
If school lunches are, if hot school lunches are our biggest problem, we are doing okay. And I'll tell you what, I do want to give you a feel for what I've done today. So we went up to the city of David, and I got a pretty exclusive VIP look through some old ruins and underneath. So it was an archaeological trip. I met this afternoon with a member of the Palestinian Authority, and I'm not allowed to tell you who he is because that was the grounds I got along. And I talked to him about what is happening in Gaza, and he told me quite clearly, you cannot think of the Palestinians as one group. And I'd probably give you a comparison, Duncan. It's like different iwi in New Zealand who occupy and have responsibility for different parts of New Zealand.
Yep.
And the Palestinians are the same. And the fact is that the West Bank Palestinians and those on the West Bank are quite culturally different from those who are down in Gaza. And the guy I talked to today who has been they're literally culturally different, right? Their ancestry is different. They are like a different iwi or a different hapu, right? And you're a guy who knows how Māoridom works in New Zealand, right? So literally, the Palestinians in Gaza are a totally different cultural and ethnic makeup than the Palestinians who are on the West Bank.
I never knew that. Never knew.
And in fact, they don't get on at all. And the guy I talked to today, and there's reasons I can't give you his name, said, and I gave him a very blunt question, and that was October, has anything good for Palestinians as a whole come from what happened on October the 7th and those attacks? And he said, no, it has pushed us all back. It has been negative for all of us, and there is not a win strategy for those who want more for Palestinian people than what happened on October the 7th. So there is a massive split between Palestinians, between those who are on the West Bank and those occupied territories and those who live in Gaza, who are controlled by Hamas. I asked this guy the question, and I feel bad I can't say who he is. You've got to trust me on this. I said, should they give the hostages back? And he said, yes, right now, because that is and he admitted he had to hold the party line. I said, is there any way to make progress without giving the hostages back? And he said, no. And they've got to give the hostages back right now.
Yeah, yeah. Have you seen the Gaza Strip?
The other really interesting, tomorrow morning, literally it's 10 o'clock at night here now, Duncan, I'm getting up at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. We're driving down to Gaza, to the Gaza envelope. And there are pretty regularly now rockets coming out and in from there. And that's where we're heading tomorrow.
Are you able to? We should talk again. Oh no, we won't. Just the weekend, but maybe Monday. Yeah.
We'll talk same time. What day is it? It's Friday. We'll talk Monday morning. But I'll tell you what I get here. What I get here is that we talk about Palestinians and they're not all one bunch of people. And I've got to say too, and this is slightly more nuanced, there is some domestic politics going on in Israel, which is also pretty interesting. Benjamin Netanyahu, and you won't have read about this, and I didn't read about this, Benjamin Netanyahu has 3 quite serious corruption allegations against him.
Yes.
One
he should be in jail.
Is that he took money, and the second one is that he took money to buy some submarines, and the third one is that he took money in return for some political favours, right? Now, these cases, he's been indicted. These cases are due before the Supreme Court of Israel. He has introduced the suggestion that the government should decide who's on the Supreme Court of Israel. So there's literally a constitutional crisis going on in Israel at the same time as it involved in this war. And I can tell you after just 24 hours, Duncan, here, this situation is far more complex than I think we realise. It's not about putting a tea towel around your head and chanting from the river to the sea. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, it's a lot more nuanced. Just one question that's come in. A couple of people have had a few thoughts on this. It sounds like the Gaza Māori Party versus the Palestinian population. It sounds like there's 2 distinct groups. But also, have you found any beer in Israel as good as the New Zealand West Coast IPA? Says Sam.
I have not had a beer. I might have had a couple of Jameson's whiskey. Jameson's whiskey is the universal drink for people who've had a hard day at work. So I've had a couple of those. I've had a really nice... The restaurant I was at when this air raid boarding went off was just lovely. It was just a terrific place full of nice people. And can I say this? And I know this sounds kind of trite, Duncan. You know Dutch people?
I do.
You know what a Dutchman's like. So
I do.
They're just wonderfully honest and they're straight up. And I love Dutch people. And I've talked about this on the program before. Dutch people are just so honest and they're straight up and down. They tell I find Israeli people and Dutch people are very, very similar in character.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
They do not mess around. And they tell you exactly what they think without fear or favour.
I have heard that. They're very straight up and almost sort of not self-aware that they're not worried about it. They're not worried about any fallout. They're just going to tell you. I'm just going to say, Sean.
That's the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth.
I was going to say, but for a slight fear in me of cutting off the boss, it's 9:06, and we've talked right through the news. I wonder, I better probably do the news. You understand? You know a bit about this business?
All right, we'll sort out the technicals. You'll be able to see me tomorrow. Thank you, Dunk. And by the way, I'm safe and well. And
we were worried.
This is life in a place where people can shoot rockets at you.
It's pretty freaky, isn't it? I mean, you're in a war zone.
I'm in a life zone too, Doug. Nice talking to you. Talk tomorrow.
Brenda from Gisborne. Yeah, Brenda has said, Sean, 18-hour flight, half a sleepy tabby and a Jameson's whiskey. We got your back. Boom. LOL.
Talk soon, buddy. Cheers.
Okay, mate. Take care. Look after yourself, Sean.